Okay, now we're going to look at Wobble. So for Wobble, we're going to use a dial indicator. We have a couple different models, but they're essentially the same. They're metric dial indicators. And of course everything, again, has been calibrated, certified, serialized, all this good stuff. So what we have is a bracket that will fit various size vessels in the tighter position and fit the Distech vessels and Van Kel vessels. Rotate it around here to a desired position. We put in the upper shaft, and again we can use the previous tightening tool, slide it through the hole in the shaft and tighten it down to full engagement. This happens to be a brand new one, so the threads are a little tight. After a couple of uses it would be looser. Okay, so now what we have is a rigid platform for mounting the dial indicator. And first we'll get it out of the way, and because this bracket has been designed to allow a paddle or a basket shaft to slide right on through. But what we're going to do here now is get the paddle down to its full length. Worst case scenario, we will get the dial indicator over to the shaft, and we're going to make sure that we have preload on the dial indicator. That is, make sure you've got, maybe about a revolution. One full revolution, so this thing can read in the plus and minus direction. It can extend out or extend in and measure a total indicated reading. So in this position we will go ahead and look at rotation, and what you can do is rotate the dial so that the travel on the indicator coincides with 0, and now we're going to watch what we have here is 0.16 millimeters, 0.16. So obviously that's a very straight shaft with very little wobble, and it meets all of the USP and ASTM requirements for Wobble. Getting it out of the way, we can go over here and look at similar issues with regard to basket shaft wobble. They tell us how straight these shafts are, basically. Oh, this shaft is even straighter. Call it 0.02 millimeters, almost nothing. This is a very straight shaft. Obviously meets any standard. Now what we can also look at, we retract the dial indicator back, tighten that lock screw, come down here. We can come down to the bottom rim because there's another requirement. Again, make sure we have some engagement. Obviously this is going to be a much bigger reading. Still not bad. If I zero this gauge, you don't really have to zero it, but you can. That way you can look at the travel in one direction from the 0 position. I'm getting a total of 0.4 millimeters. That's pretty darn good, because that's looking at the trueness of the basket itself and any wobble associated with the shaft, the combined wobble there. And this obviously meets all USP ASTM requirements, and that's how you look at the wobble. And the same holds true. The gauge works the same for the Hansen unit, and we'll quickly demonstrate that. And again, a Hansen vessel is a much bigger diameter, so we're going to loosen this adjustment right here the mounting foot, the movable mounting foot, because we want to go to because the vessel is bigger, so we need to take up that area. And now notice we've got a nice rigid mounting in a Hansen vessel. So regardless of the size of the vessel, this equipment works for all of these. And we're going to do one more thing here. We're not going to actually do the measurement. It's the same as what we saw in the disc tech. But what we are going to look at is how do we measure the runout with a Van Kell instrument. So we've got a different bracket for that. The way this bracket is going to work is this bracket goes onto one of the ease-align studs. We don't really need a vessel there. You can leave the vessel there, but you got more access to the ease-align studs, so I'll take it out. And we can put the gauge bracket here. Install our gauge. And of course, with the paddle shaft in place, we can measure the paddle shaft runout. And with a basket shaft in place, we could measure the basket shaft runout the same way we did in the Hansen and the disc tech. Only difference being the way we mount the gauge itself. Because of the ease-align bracket, the different components that are on this bath top, we have this bracket specific for the Van Kell unit. And all of these parts obviously are in the calibration toolkit. And that concludes this demonstration.